you need to prioritize the content and the podcast and growing the audience. Because if you guys can do that, now you guys have investors for whatever asset class you guys are buying. Now you guys have customers for if you guys start a mastermind, you want to teach other people how to buy retail or whatever it is. So I think you got to prioritize the content, and then it doesn't matter what you invest in because it all works. You just got to pick one and go.
All right, welcome everybody to the podcast. This is the Commercial Real Estate Blueprint podcast. It's officially the first one I got with my co-host here, Jesse Durham. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, we're excited. The goal of this podcast is, me and Jesse wanted to start it together is because we're both residential real estate investors and commercial brokers. I've been doing commercial brokerage for about 6 years. Jesse's just getting started. And we really want to make the transition from residential investing into the commercial world just because we've seen what's possible. So that's kind of the gist of what we're going after. And I'm excited.
Yeah. And just like Graham had mentioned, we're trying to get there. We haven't made it yet. So this podcast is really just meant to inspire you and bring you on our journey and show you what's possible. As Graham mentioned, we're both residential investors. We've done some short-term rentals and stuff, but trying to get into that next level and show you guys how to get there.
Yeah, and since we're in the commercial brokerage world, we see what's possible, and we work at a firm. We're super fortunate to work at a firm who has a pretty large commercial real estate portfolio, so we see the day-to-day of what it takes to run these things, and that's just the goal for us. So, and we just had a great conversation with a commercial real estate investor. He started his firm, I think, 2 years ago. He's very heavy into content creation and personal brand. He's got a top 1% podcast in business and real estate. Just overall super smart guy. We had about a 45-minute long conversation with him, and I hope you guys can get some value from this conversation. I'm really excited to show you what he said. All right, what's going on, everybody? I have a super special guest today. This is Rich Summers. He's a commercial real estate investor, boutique hotel expert, and I'm just excited you're here, man. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, Graham, Jesse, appreciate you boys having me on. You guys are rocking the black on black like a mineral, man. I love it. And I like the stash, Graham.
Yeah, appreciate that. We were talking about that. We're like, should we change to the same polo? We're like, no, this is Rich Summers vibe for sure.
I like it, man. And what are the chances I'm wearing white today?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually in my workout gear from the gym.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, like I was just mentioning before this, I got connected to you through Instagram. You're starting to put a lot of content out there, and you came across my screen talking about Greensboro multifamily, and that's what I was doing a lot of prospecting for. So, you've grown tremendously since then. I think you had like 10,000, maybe 11,000 followers at that point, and now you're at what, over like 180 or something close to that.
Yeah, on Instagram about like 175-ish. But dude, it's crazy because that was only 2 years ago. It's funny because I pulled up a screenshot of when I actually started posting content on social media, and it was May of 2022, so it was exactly 2 years ago. And you can grow quickly if you just put your story out there and tell people what you're up to. And a lot of things can change really, really quickly. So I think the takeaway for your audience or any listeners out there is if you ever had any inkling of putting out content and telling your story, or if you know that you should be doing it and you're a business owner, but you're not doing it. This is 2024. Attention is the new currency. And, the days of going and raising capital or getting leads from your business and going and handshaking one coffee at a time, one lunch date at a time to raise capital, those days are over. And so if you're still banking on that, you're going to get left in the dust. I think like technology is always evolving. We got AI right now. We got social media. And so for the folks that are not utilizing it within their company, within their business, they're going to get ran over.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to compete.
That's really why we've kind of like started this. Me and Graham both have done a little bit of podcast stuff before we started this episode. And, we just kind of like had that realization when that podcast came out with you and Brian Lubin, like, man, maybe we should really just kick this off. And we just, wanted to get into it, and there's no reason not to start.
The podcast is the secret sauce, man. It is the secret sauce. So all the capital that we're raising, all the mastermind sales that we bring in, 95% of that is from the podcast. It's hard to build trust on a 30-second TikTok or a 45-second Instagram reel. But if you can get people to go over to listen to your podcast, that's where the trust is really built. And, we got over 100 investors now. We got WNBA players. We got folks that are doctors. We got folks that own, $500 million in real estate. We even got real estate CPAs in our fund. But, it's hard to build trust from those short clips. And so the reason we're able to do it is because, if you think about it, people are listening to you on the podcast on the way to work, on the way to the gym. And so if you look at the different platforms out there, you got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Twitter, and you got the podcast platform, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Out of all those mediums, the podcast audience is hands down the most intelligent. They got the highest net worth, and they're action takers, right? And so those are why those are transitioning over to investors and clients of ours, is because those folks are the smartest, most intelligent, and it makes sense, right? These folks are listening to you on their way to work. They're trying to better their lives, and so those are the folks you want working with you, anyways.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not easy to be consistent, I feel like, but it is one of the easiest ways to do it. You just set up a camera, you sit down, you talk for an hour, maybe 30 minutes. And then after that, you can splice up, you can repurpose it anyway. So it's one of the best, most efficient ways I've found, because I've tried, long form YouTube video. I've tried all the shorts and stuff, but, I think I made like 40 shorts, and each short was maybe taking me like 45 minutes to an hour to sit down and shoot. It feels like 30 seconds, shoot it, edit it, post it. But you do a podcast, you sit down for an hour, and that's 1 hour of time. Then you can send it to an editor, and now you can put it, like you're mentioning, AI, you can put it in Opus, and that'll spit out 30 clips. And so it's like way more efficient.
Yeah, it really is. And you're kind of hitting two metrics. You're hitting your long form by having this hour-long conversation, or maybe it's an hour and a half, or maybe it's only 30 minutes. But you're also hitting your short form, because now you can, like you said, you can clip out shorts and highlights of that conversation, and then there's your short form. You almost don't need to shoot as much short form content anymore. And it's a powerful thing. And then lastly, I'll say this, if you are a real estate investor and you're not getting the deal flow that you want to have, or if you're just an entrepreneur and you're not making the kind of money that you want to be making, it's simply because you're not shaking enough hands. Not enough people know who you are. And so there's two ways to solve that. One, you can go out to the network and go find the network, right? You can go to meetups, you can go to conferences and that sort of thing. Or you can create something cool and watch the network come to you, like a podcast, right? When I go out and have a lunch with an investor, that's 30 minutes of my time, an hour of my time, and it's going out to one person. But on the flip side, I could shoot a 45-second video on my iPhone real quick and put it out on Instagram, and that could go out to 20,000, 40,000, 50,000 people. And so think about that leverage. And so folks that are not, taking advantage of it in 2024 are going to get left in the dust. It's going to be hard to compete with other folks out there that are utilizing the technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, the last thing I'll say is this, and this is a real thing. A lot of people tell me this. They're like, dude, I get on all these calls and people want to invest with me, but right before they wire the money, they're like, they look me up online, they look me up on social media, and they're like, hey, like, I like you and I want to invest, but like, how do I know I trust you? Because they don't have any content out there. And, the reality is everyone's looking you up on social media before they do business with you. That's just the reality. And you could apply this to anything. It's not just raising money, but it's also like dating. Like you go on a freaking date with someone, they're going to look you up on social media. And so this is your resume and you should be putting yourself out there.
Yeah. You hear that, Jesse? I'm just messing. I'm married.
I'm single. Graham's married.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Graham's
married. I've been married for 6 years, and I have 3 kids. So
dude, congratulations, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We just had one 2 months ago. So
yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing.
Jesse, are you doing online dating or only
really
organic?
A little bit of a mix of both. I've done a little bit of different apps and things like that, and organic too. If I go up to a girl, it doesn't matter, and just see what happens. I'm kind of like a throw it out there and see what happens kind of guy, and I'm not trying to force anything like that. If we can make it work, we can. If not,
he's a killer too. I mean, he's like super focused on business stuff. So
outside of brokerage, I have a glove company. It's called Safety Tough. We basically make steel-toe boots for your hands.
Okay.
And I've been working for 9 months now to get it onto Tractor Supply, and we're like right there. I mean, there's like a couple more connection and testing things we need to do, and I'm anticipating in the next 6 weeks for sure we'll be on Tractor Supply's website nationwide. So that's something I've been working on for a long time. Yeah,
Let's go, huge. Jesse. Yeah. Let's go, man. I love it.
Home Depot.
Yeah. And Tractor Supply is kind of like a smaller, what is it, like a smaller Lowe's? Like, I don't know if they have it in California or not, but you might have seen them.
Yeah, it's there's a couple different like small retail brands like that, like Rural King and stuff, but I pitch Home Depot in September. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Let's go, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Next,
yeah.
Let's go.
One of the questions I had for you that I'm just genuinely curious, like, I see all your Instagram stories and a lot of your posts, and you walk around your office. You guys have a beautiful office. It looks great in downtown San Diego. So I imagine that's not cheap. And then you have several. How many employees do you guys have now?
We got 10 full time in the office. Actually, soon to be 10. We starting on Monday, it'll be 10. Right now, it's 9. And then we have 4 full-time VAs that are in the Philippines. They do a lot of the property management stuff for us. So 14 total.
Awesome. So like for guys like us who want to build a team, we want to build, commercial real estate investing platform. How do you pay for something like that? Is that paid from the assets, or is that paid more from the management fees and the model like that? Or is that just something you worked up to? Kind of just, would love to hear.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have a few businesses here. And so one of them is Summers Capital, where we have a fund in the hotel space, and we raise money from investors. We give our investors passive income tax benefits, and we buy boutique hotels that are underperforming. We renovate them, we improve them. The other business is a property management company that's in-house, and we utilize that to manage the boutique hotels, our short-term rentals, and we also manage for third-party owners. And so we take a commission from third-party owners that we manage for. And then the third arm is our online communities. And so we have 2. One of them is our boutique hotel mastermind, where we help folks that are in the short-term rental game, and they're looking to get in the hotel game. They're looking to buy their first boutique hotel, or maybe they already own a boutique hotel and they're just looking to get into a group where there's partnership opportunities and that sort of thing. So that's one. And then the other one is the 7-figure creator. We just rolled this out this week. It's been great. It's been tremendous. We were in pre-launch 3 weeks before that, and the demand has been freaking crazy. And this is for basically people that are looking to grow their personal brand. They're looking to start a podcast. They're looking to basically grow their audience 100% organically in the right way. I just did it over the last 2 years, and went from basically nothing. No one knew who the hell I was, but I was already buying real estate. I already had stuff to stay, and I had a good story, but no one knew who I was. And so in 2 years, we took it from 0 to over 250K across the different platforms. And now we're just getting warmed up, but basically just sharing all my systems and processes that we use to strategically grow a podcast. This is my second podcast that I have now. I had one for 3 years with my old partners. Mm-hmm. I took everything I liked and didn't like about that one, and I made it into this one. But basically, it's teaching all that stuff, and then how to monetize it to create more leads for your business, get affiliate marketing, secure sponsorships, raise private capital for real estate, and then even start your own online community. And so those are really the 3 arms. But the online community, that's a cash business. That's no overhead. I basically, I jump on these calls. I do a lot of group stuff. I don't do much one-on-one stuff. And so from a return on your time perspective, it's really high, but also 0 risk, no overhead. And so those are the 3 streams, and that's what allows us to continue to hire and grow our team. And, the content drives a lot of that. And it's good to have the cash business, because now it allows us to not be dependent on acquisition fees when we buy real estate, and it allows us to kind of pick and choose our spots, if you would.
Yeah, it keeps you from making any bad deals. I've heard a lot of sponsors doing that. They have all this money built up from a fund, or they want to do acquisition fees, so they go out and they buy something bad, and then it could turn out.
Also, like, the affiliate marketing is a real thing. I have like 5 or 6 companies that I do affiliate marketing for. It's like passive income. I'll record like a 20-second B-roll on my podcast. Like, for example, one of them is Prime Corporate Services. They have a great affiliate program. And so I say, like, a little 20-second B-roll on my podcast. Hey, if you're looking for LLC structures or to form entities for your real estate, you don't need to overthink it. We use Prime Corporate Services to form, manage, and for all of your guidance. And then I'll give a little landing page for a special podcast discount. People go there and they'll sign up, and then they just basically ACH once a month. They have my checking and routing number. They ACH once a month. It's like passive income. So that's one example. Like, we have one with Built. They're actually paying me monthly. And then they also give me an allowance of free swag every month, right? And then I get to do like cool stuff with the audience. And so that's one example. But also for the investors that invest with us, it's actually less risky for the investors that invest with us if they're going to choose us versus another sponsor that doesn't have all these other like streams of income. Because, you know, when it hits the fan, it will hit the fan. You can't foresee every single thing. Like, for example, we had one of our boutique hotels flooded out. We had just done a full renovation. We did a grand opening, and we had record rainfall in San Diego. Well, the hotel got flooded out. Insurance didn't pay us a freaking dime yet. And, you know, I funded that with the money from our other businesses. And guess what? Our investors still got paid, right? And had they invested their money with a sponsor that wasn't in a situation to where they have other streams of income, the investors wouldn't have got paid. So it takes risk off the table for the investors too.
That's something you don't think about at all. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
No one talks about that. No one talks about that stuff, man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's the power of the brand, you know. Everyone that's in business knows they need to be doing it. They're just not doing it. And I think the number one and number two reason that people don't put out content or they don't start is, number one, I think they're afraid of being judged by others that they don't know. That's a real thing. And then number two, I think a lot of people assume that you're either born or not born with the talking skills, the camera skills. I hear people say all the time, they're like, oh, it must be nice. You're looking natural on the podcast. I'm like, dude, that's first of all, and I'll tell you why. I used to be a shy kid growing up. And my first sales job was when I was 18 years old, selling cell phones at a kiosk at the mall. And I was a shy kid, and I had to stand in the middle of the mall and say hi to strangers. And that was like the most uncomfortable thing. But I did it over and over and over. And before you knew it, it became easy. It became natural, and I became good at it. And I ended up being number one at sales in the district just through the reps. And then if you go back and listen to my first podcast, the first 30 episodes were terrible. And I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. And now I can just jump in and rip it, you know. And so when someone says, hey, you're either born or not born with those skills, that isn't true at all. You got to put in the reps. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a great segue into one of the questions I had, which is if you were to like you said, you built this massive audience in 2 years. So if you were to go back and start over zero followers right now, what would be like some of the first steps you took to build an audience like that?
Okay. So step one is you want to post every single day. You really just got to push a lot of content out there. So there's really 3 tiers as a content creator. It's like tier one is like you just push a lot of content out there for like 90 days. And then this way you can look back at the end of the 90 days and be like, okay, what worked well? What didn't work well? It gets you in the rhythm of just posting every single day, and then go back and study your old content and see what did well. The stuff that did well, double down on that, do more of it, remake those videos, even repost the ones that did good. And then the ones that didn't do well, stop doing those, right? And then tier two as a content creator is like, okay, how do I create videos that have the potential to go viral, right? You're only one video away. And when you put out a viral video, like you're going to pick up a big chunk of followers. And as you pick up more and more followers, it becomes easier and easier because all those followers are following you for the content that you're putting out. They're following you for the real estate investing content. They're following you for the business content, whatever the content is. Maybe it's sports. And then they're going to share it. And now they start sharing it with more people, and more people are going to discover you. The third tier is after you get good at posting viral content or good content, then it's like, okay, how do I post volume and good content without jeopardizing the quality of the content? I see a lot of people try to pump out content, but they jeopardize the quality of it, right? And so that level 3 as a content creator is putting out volume, but also high quality content. And so once you master all 3 of those, then you're going to start really, really growing quickly. But it all starts with putting out the content. A lot of people just never start.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I started probably a year and 2 months ago, and I don't know what it is. I must be doing something wrong, but I had definitely been inconsistent. So like I would go on a spurt where I'd do like 30 days and then I would stop, and then I'd do like 15 days and I would stop. So I'm in like very small amount of followers, like 450 or something.
And you know what? When I see that, because I see my competition, I follow all my competition out there on social media, and when I see them inconsistent like that, and they miss 3 days here, they miss 4 days here, it's a sign of weakness to me. I'm like, I'm going to run you over because I just know that you're not dialed. And so you'll see me. I don't miss posts. We post 2 times a day on social, and I don't miss morning and evening, and we don't miss a beat. It's a non-negotiable.
So, yeah. No. So
but you got to treat it like a business. You can't just say, hey, this is my side thing. I'm going to try. The second you say I'm going to try, you already lost the game, right? And so you got to treat it like a business. You got to have the right systems and processes, and it's got to be a non-negotiable. It's like going to the gym, right? Like think about the gym in January 7th. You go to the gym right after New Year's. Everyone's got all those New Year's resolutions. They want to get fit. They want to start eating clean. They want to get in the gym. So you go in the gym January 7th, and it's packed. There's all these people in there that you've never seen before. And because everyone wants to get fit. And then guess what? You go in March 1 and none of those people are there anymore, right? It's the same thing with the content. Everyone wants to build a brand. Everyone wants to start posting on social, but no one wants to do the work. And so they'll do it for a week. They won't see any results and then give up, right? And that's how 99% of people are. And the difference between the ones that are successful and the ones that are not is simply they just stay consistent and they study their old content and they continue to get better every single week. If you go and look at my old content when I first started, I even look back at content 6 months ago. I'm like, it makes me cringe because I'm growing so quickly, right? Yeah. And you should look back at your content 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and be like, I am. But the so important thing is that
you're putting it out there. You're not afraid to, post it, and then you're going to learn from it because you're looking back at the data and you're saying, okay, well, this didn't work, this did work, and then you're kind of refining that. For if we can go back to step one a little bit,
exactly.
For us, we talk about content creation versus like documentation of what we're doing day to day. But you're also saying like post every day and then just see what kind of works for 90 days and then kind of go from there. Were you saying to like just throw some stuff out there and see what kind of sticks and then go from there?
Yeah. Put yourself out there, put content out there, but don't just put content out there. Like you got to actually get very clear and like you got to get deep with yourself and ask yourself, like look at yourself in the mirror. Is someone going to follow me? Like what is going to be a thing? Like you have to put value out there, right? I think a lot of people that don't grow on social media that are posting every single day, it's like they're not providing any value. They're boring. Like don't be boring. Like be excited. You got to provide some sort of value. There's got to be a value exchange. So you got to educate. You got to put value out there. You got to be inspiring and like be entertaining, right? Like I have all these different podcast guests that fly into town and we're doing 3 podcasts a week. And, some of these guests are growing really quickly and they have big audiences and some are not. And the biggest difference when I interview all these people from the ones that are growing and the ones that are not is the ones that are growing, when the lights come on, they have another gear. It's almost like a little bit of acting. You got to be authentic, right? Like I'm 100% genuine and 100% authentic, but like when the lights come on, like you guys notice, like I have another gear, right? You have to have another gear. And the people that are not growing, they're just boring. Like sometimes they come in and they have nothing exciting to say. I'm like, you just flew in from out of town. We talked for an hour and you didn't have one exciting thing to say. Like you got that people are going to want to watch. I mean, that's just the truth of it, right? That's just how it works. Attention is a valuable thing. It's not people's time, it's people's attention. And you're competing with a lot of people out there that are trying to post on social. So why the fuck is someone going to watch you for 45 seconds and boring? Just think about that.
That's a good point. So what are some tangible ways? Because like I just said, I've been inconsistent, so I haven't taken it as seriously as I should. So like, what are some tangible ways to be consistent to where you could post 2 times a day? Like, are you batch shooting and then having editors do it, or like what's kind of your day to day for the content creation?
Yeah, so we do every Wednesday is a content day in the office. So Mondays I have my team meeting, my level 10 meeting with the team, followed by all one-on-ones with the key team members. And then I go into a one-on-one with my business coach every Monday and it sets the tone for the week. And then Wednesdays are my content day. So that whole day is blocked off for content. We typically have anywhere from 2 to 3 podcast guests come in from out of town on Wednesdays in the afternoon. First podcast is typically at 12, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we go all afternoon. In the morning, if I need to shoot short form, I'll do the short form. And that's it. That's typically how it works. And then I have a full-time content person. We just hired a second full-time content person, and they edit all the podcasts. They do all the show notes. They come out with the clips. But I'm very hands-on. Like, for anyone listening to this, if you think you're just going to hire a content person and they're just going to do all the work and you're just going to post it, that's not how the game works. You can do that, but you're not pro. Like you have to be the creative. You have to give direction on this is your brand at the end of the day, and you have to, like, if you guys see what we do behind the scenes, like you'll be like, oh, like it can make sense. It's I don't just give my editor the videos and I say, hey, go chop out some shorts and let's just rip them. You could do that, but it's not going to work. And so what we do is after each podcast recording, we sit down and we wrap right away. We're like, okay, what is the podcast title? What are potential clips in this conversation that could do really well on social? Sometimes there's 10, sometimes there's none. If there's none, we just don't post any, right? But sometimes there's 10. Like some people come on and they just spit fire. Like Grant Cardone comes on and like there's like 15 clips in there. Everything he's saying is fire, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll identify those clips. And then once we identify those clips, My editor will go and lay out that video, and he'll get all the content in there, because it might be a 4 or 5 minute conversation, but we got to get it into 45 seconds. And so then we like, okay, what's the best possible hook? And then we're like, okay, what's the closeout? What's the body? And then he'll edit it, and then we'll watch it from the top, and then be like, okay, how do we make this better? Okay, what if we move this part here? What if we move this part there? And then we'll watch it again. Okay, how do we make it better from there? We will go through 4 or 5 versions before we put it out. And sometimes that might mean we're pulling a hook from minute 7, and we're putting a body in minute 17, and then a call to action in like minute 59, and we're making it into one short, because that's going to give it the best possible chance. And so when you see how much work goes into it, you'll be like, oh, I can get it. Yeah, the game's not easy, but if you want to become the best and you want to go to the top, which we are going to go to the top, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You got to put in the work, and you got to go over all this stuff. Like, it's not going to be easy, right? Anything worthwhile in life is not going to be easy. The truth is it's never going to be easy, but like, that's what makes it worth it. 100% worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
What I like.
Cool.
But yeah, I get fired up talking about content.
That's one of the biggest things we wanted to talk to you about.
I mean,
I love that you have like a set time for it. Like, no matter what, on Wednesday we're creating, we're going to make this, we're going to make it great, add a lot of value here and there, and we're going to put it out. And I like that. I think that's something me and Graham are definitely going to need to do. Put that on the schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And 3 in a row is wild. I didn't know that. I mean, that's awesome. I know some people just do like 1, but three back to back. That's a long time,
dude. It's a lot of talking. Cause like sometimes I'll go into three back to back podcast interviews. And this is in person. So it's like, they're coming in. I'm like talking shop before, we're recording, talking shop after, and then the guest is going down, next guest is coming up, and it's a whole thing. You always got to be on. And then sometimes we're rolling from those 3 right into a meetup that we're hosting with like 250 people. And then I'm networking for like another 3-4 hours, just shaking hands. And after I get done with those days, I'm like, I'm pretty burnt out.
Yeah.
But it's all worth it though.
Yeah.
I love this shit, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, obviously it shows you've done well. So, I mean, your audience hasn't grown from, like you said, it wasn't easy. You put in all that work. People don't see the work behind the scenes that you just described, but now it makes a lot more sense that you have 250,000 followers across your platforms from all this work you put in.
And the best part is this is like, we're just getting warmed up right now. Like, we are just now getting warmed up, and I see what's in front of us, and I see what the competition is. And as much as I say it's hard, at the same token, the bar has never been this low. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of men out there in this world today that are between the ages of 25 and 50. Let's call it 25 to 75, that they've already given up on life. And I mean, it's sad, but it's the truth. And so I will say this for anyone listening to this: if you're a guy right now and you don't know your direction, and you feel like you're lost, and whatever you're doing right now with your career is like not your thing, and you're not growing, and you're like, hey, I need to make a move. I was there, because at age 33, I was a full-time air traffic controller for the FAA. Did it for 11 years, and I reached a point to where I plateaued. I no longer felt like I was growing, and I knew I needed to make a move. And so if that's you, just know, if you commit to something and you go all in and you burn the boats and you want it bad enough, you desire it bad enough, and you can believe it, you can run a lot of these over. The bar has never been this low. And that's what I did. I went all in, and some people will say 33 is late in the game to reposition your life, recreate yourself. But now looking back, I'll say this, because when I got in the game of real estate investing and entrepreneurship at age 33, this was a whole new world to me. I didn't know it. And I cashed out my 401k to buy my first apartment building. And everyone at the time told me it was too risky. They all told me that it would never work. And my biggest takeaway looking back is all those risks are real. So put some weight on them. But on the other side of the balance scale is another risk. And it's this: I could be 85 years old one day, laying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, kicking myself because I never tried anything in life. How about that risk? That's a risk too that a lot of people don't allude to. So if you're listening to this, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Yeah. But you got to go all in.
Yeah, that's super encouraging.
Extremely motivational.
That's super encouraging. If you I know I was going to ask you, but now that you said that, I remember your first deal you bought was an apartment complex. So for like the average person listening who wants to get started in real estate, like I said, I have like eight residential doors and a commercial property, but for somebody who doesn't have anything, would you recommend them going into residential? Would you recommend them going into commercial? Like what direction would you point them?
I would say this. I would say, there's all sorts of different asset classes. Residential, you got commercial, and then within commercial, you got, a ton of asset classes, right? You could do multifamily, you could do boutique hotels, mobile home parks, retail, office, industrial. They all work. They all work. So I would pick something that resonates most with you. But you also got to look at this, and this is something that I'm looking at more and more, is technology is always evolving. And the speed of which technology is evolving right now is happening quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And so think about how that's going to impact real estate. AI, social media, all this stuff, right? So look at office right now. It's not as lucrative as it once was because people are working from home because of technology. Look at this. We're recording a podcast virtually, right? 20 years ago, that would have never been the case. And so, think about that. So office, retail is a little bit tougher too. Some of it's good and some office is still good, but like retail is tougher too because a lot of stuff, online shopping is a real thing. Outside of going to like a really nice mall, that's Fashion Valley Mall here in San Diego because they have some really nice places. I do all my shopping online, right? And so, think about how technology is going to continue to evolve, and then use that to your advantage when you select the investment vehicle that you're going to go into within real estate. But I think what I would say for your audience is that if this is your first deal, you're just getting started, start with something small. Start with something that's like easy to grasp your head around, something that's easy to close because it's going to get you in the game. It's going to give you the confidence to go out there and do another deal. So I do a lot of stuff solo on my own, like small residential stuff, ADU plays where I don't have any partners, I don't have any investors, and I love those deals. And so I do the bigger ones too with investors and all that sort of thing. But I like the small deals too. So I would say start with something small, something that's easy to wrap your head around, something that's quick to close because it's going to get you in the game. And that's what matters is do that first deal and get in the game because it will change your life. And you're never going to get truly wealthy off that first deal, right? I mean, you could if you hold it for 10, 15, 20 years, it could make you $1 million, $2 million. But it's not going to make you $1 million or $2 million in the first month, right? This is not a get rich quick thing. The idea with the first deal is just to get that first one under your belt so you have the confidence to go out there and do it again.
Yeah, no, that's good. And that's piggybacking off of that. I mean, like in my position, me and Jesse, we have a duplex together. It's on Airbnb. It does well, much better than like a long-term rental. I have a few other long-term rentals that are just multifamily stuff. And then I'm a small partner in a commercial deal. The firm we work at, I didn't mention, but we're both commercial brokers at a firm that has a $300 million portfolio, and all they're buying is retail and industrial assets in North Carolina. So like we're trying to decide, because me and Jesse want to partner on these deals, is like, should we go after more Airbnbs? Because, obviously you can get good cash flow, or should we go after some of the commercial stuff and do more creative deals because we're kind of getting a front row seat at these retail and industrial properties that are being purchased. And I like all three of them, but trying to pick which one is hard. So
retail, industrial, and then what was the third one?
Really, the company we work for just buys retail and industrial. So that's probably what we go after. And then we're doing Airbnb on the side.
Got it. Okay. Where are you guys investing in Airbnb?
It's not it's definitely not a vacation market. So we're in Durham, which is where I'm from.
Got it. I've never been there. I've heard great things.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's right next to Raleigh, and most of our tenants are traveling nurses.
Is that where Duke University is?
Yep.
All right. I got to make it out to a Blue Devil basketball game one of these days.
Yeah.
Maybe this winter I'll come out for the next season. I want to go to a game.
Airbnb.
That'd be awesome.
Is Coach K still
he
the coach?
Retired.
No, he retired. It's John Shire now.
Fuck, I missed the boat. That guy's a legend.
Yeah, one of my buddies is a graduate coach there, so I could probably figure out a way to get tickets.
That'd be sick.
Okay. I like that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So what would you do? Would you go after? Would you go all in on one, or would you kind of do? Because we made offers on a couple retail deals recently, and then we also are looking at another small Airbnb deal. So it's like, I don't know. Do you think it's too much splitting attention between the two, or do you think you should go after one?
I think it's okay to split your attention with two, if it kind of resonates with each other. So like, for example, we're buying boutique hotels. I own multifamily. They're very similar. Hotel and multifamily is very similar. It's just instead of 12-month leases, you got 2-night leases, right? Like it's basically that's the only difference. And you got housekeeping and guest communication. Okay. And so it all goes hand in hand. Airbnb hotel is like the same thing. It's just a single family home versus a hotel. So all three of those coincide with each other. And so I don't think doing Airbnb and like, a commercial deal, that's not a big deal. So I know industrial is evergreen. It's more recession proof. But it's also not as sexy as retail. So like if I think about doing social media content, like the retail content, like walking these storefronts and retail locations, especially with restaurant build outs and all that, I think that would pop off more on social media than warehouse. Right. So, it's something to think about, but I don't know, man. I would go with what resonates more for you guys and what you guys want to do. That's usually the right answer. And so go in, whatever you guys want to do, go in on it and make it happen. But I think what you guys really need to prioritize is, with whatever, because it's all going to work. You need to prioritize the content and the podcast and growing the audience. Because if you guys can do that, now you guys have investors for whatever asset class you guys are buying. Now you guys have customers for if you guys start a mastermind, you want to teach other people how to buy retail or whatever it is. So I think you got to prioritize the content, and then it doesn't matter what you invest in because it all works. You just got to pick one and go.
That's great. That's great advice. Yeah. I appreciate that. Nobody's ever said that about I've asked that question to a lot of people and nobody's ever mentioned, hey, retail is a little more flashy. That's a great point.
I got, you guys know Investor Girl Britt?
Oh, I've seen her stuff with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So she does like self-storage, and she actually partnered on my last boutique hotel. She's in our hotel mastermind. And she was like, oh my God, she's like, Rich, like, the content pops off way more with boutique hotels because people were like, oh, it's sexy. Like you can take like a cool asset and they can renovate it and make it look cool. It's like a cool design element. And there's something like sexy about a boutique hotel, but like, she's like self-storage. She's like, this is just like metal containers. Like it doesn't pop off as much. It's not as sexy. So it's true. Like certain real estate assets are going to just get more eyeballs on social media than others. And that's just the truth of the matter. Like, a Class A apartment building is probably going to do a lot better with like pools and like all these badass amenities versus a mobile home park in the middle of nowhere. And let's just be honest.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
And Airbnb is the same way. I mean, we can do all kinds of different stuff. We're over here working on the Airbnb doing this, or, because we have themes a little bit. We have a lot of decorations. It catches the eye a little bit more than obviously industrial would.
Yeah. But I mean, there's no right or wrong. You got to pick one and go. I think too many people go back and forth and they try something. It's like they never get good at that one thing. And so you got to go all in. Life rewards those who go all in. So, there's 100 ways to make money in real estate. There might be 200 ways and they all work. Like you could probably randomly pick some random. And if I go out there tomorrow and say, hey, I'm not going to do anything but this for the next 12 months, I'll figure out a way to make money in it, whatever it is. But I know most folks out there have a competitive advantage in something. So that's why I say, invest in your backyard if it's a good market, because that's where you're going to have the competitive advantage, right? And so if one of those asset classes you feel you just organically resonate with more, and you just feel like you have that competitive advantage and it gets you excited, then you can do that one, because that's probably the right answer.
I know we're getting close to time here. What's Jesse, do you have any other specific questions you wanted to ask?
So kind of going back to personal brand a little bit, you have Rich Somers and you have Somers Capital and all that. Like all of that is like intertwined in like your life and day to day, that I feel like that is now like your personal brand. Like for us, like if we do go and pick like multifamily, we pick Airbnb, we just kind of like do that. And like for you, like that's when people think Rich Somers, they think boutique hotels a lot of times. So, I mean, is that how what really like makes you stand out and be different on social media and stuff like that?
No. So I think that what's going to make you stand out on social media is Jesse Durham or Graham Story. Like it's going to be you. You're the reason people are going to follow. You're the personality. People don't want to follow a brand. They don't want to follow a company. They want to follow a person and someone they can resonate with, someone that has a good story, someone that's authentic, someone that's real, someone that's genuine, that shares the wins and the losses. That's what's going to see success, right? That's the same reason why a lot of these big companies partner with individuals. Like Louis Vuitton partners with LeBron James, right? Because like individuals are always going to get a lot more attention than brands. So it's going to be you. That's why I always say if you, build yourself on social media, a lot of people make the mistake of like, oh, like I start a podcast, I'm going to have a podcast dedicated social media. I'm like, no, put the podcast content on your personal social media. Make it about you. You're the person they remember, not the podcast.
Yeah,
that's a good point, because we were wondering about that. Actually, that was a question we were going back and forth on. Do we do a different page for a podcast or no? So that's good to know.
Put it on your personal, and then you guys collab with each other when you guys do the podcast content stuff.
Nice.
If you look at all the big names out there that built their brands successfully, the Conor McGregors, the Kylie Jenners, the Alex Hormozis, the Grant Cardones, they don't have separate Instagrams for it's all on their personal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I just told Jesse, because he just started this stuff. I was like, dude, he was going to make a different one for his real estate stuff. I was like, don't do it. Because I made that mistake. So I wonder, do you think I should go back and erase I'm not erase, because I only have 450 followers. Go back and just post it all on my personal stuff and just intertwine real estate and then like what else I'm into, which is like,
I would. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll grow it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And it's okay to make a mistake, dude. I make hundreds of mistakes every single week, dude. But I always say, hey, we either win or we learn, and that's it. And so, I don't spend a lot of time making a decision. I'm like, let's just roll with it. And if it's the wrong decision, we'll pivot.
That's great.
A lot of people take 4 hours, weeks to make a decision. And I'm like, I don't do that. The reason I broke with my two old partners a year, almost 2 years ago now, is because every single decision, and there's always hundreds of decisions that come up every single week, every decision they wanted to jump on a 4-hour call. I was like, dude, can't operate like this. So now we just make a decision, we go. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the growth, is because we just decide and go. And if it's the wrong decision, it's okay. We'll pivot. But we learn, right? And we're just learning and getting better every week at a much quicker clip than most people that take weeks to make a decision. We've made hundreds of decisions in that same 1 hour or that 1 week window.
No, that's great. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate all your advice. All this stuff has been great. I guess 2 questions wrapping up. One is like, what's next for you guys? I know you're working on continuing to find boutique hotels and you're building your personal brand, but like, what's like a 5-year picture for you guys?
We just closed on two boutique hotels in the last 4.5 months. And so we're in a big renovation right now up in Sonoma Coast. And so we're going to take a little pause from buying for probably like 4 or 5 months and just kind of stabilize what we have, get through the renovations and all that sort of thing. We got 4 assets that will be refining here next year. So I'm just, focused on the operations, focusing on managing that NOI so we can be primed for a nice refi. But what's next? I'm not sure. So I got folks like Tariq Al Musa who reached out. He wants to do a boutique hotel deal. I got Brian Malarkey. He's like Top Chef on Food Network. He's got a couple of famous restaurants down here in San Diego. He wants to do a boutique hotel. He's like, I'll bring the restaurant portion. You do the hotel. So I don't know. I don't know what's next, but I'm going to talk with those guys and see if they want to go in and maybe do a bigger boutique hotel, maybe something newer, something that's a little bit more pop, and see what that looks like. But I'm not sure. To answer your question about the 5-year thing, dude, I don't know. I don't think 5 years or 10 years out. Yeah, when we buy these deals, we typically underwrite for 10-year hold periods, and so that's important to obviously stress test the model and know what the return profile is going to look like for the investors and all the exit strategies. But outside of those particular deals that we already buy, personally, I don't know. I don't even know where we're going to be a year from now, dude, to be honest with you, because what I think I want 5 years from now is going to be different when I get there. And if it's not different, that means that we're not growing. If you would have asked me 5 years ago when I was working airplanes, working weekends, nights, holidays, working air traffic, if I would be where I'm at today, I would have thought you were crazy. And I think sometimes, if you have this 5-year goal and you want it bad enough and you stick to this plan, then you're going to miss a lot of opportunities that come your way. In all reality, those who pivot win the game. You got to be fluid, you got to be flexible, and you got to be willing to pivot when something's not working, right? So you got to be willing to pivot and go a different direction and try different things, and that's how you win.
That's a good point. That's great. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I know we're getting close here. What's the best way for people to find out? Is it Instagram? Is it listen to your podcast? What's the best way to connect with you?
First of all, you guys are both great. Love the Black on Black. I love everything you guys are doing. And thank you for having me on. You can find me on Instagram. Everything's there at Rich_Summers. And everything's right there on Instagram. And podcast is the Rich Summers Report.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much, Rich. Really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, appreciate you boys. Thanks, you so much. Happy Friday.